All right, so I want to give a little context to Leo Jupiter and Aquarius Pluto as it relates to shadow work square to Scorpio. Leo Jupiter is a description at the South Node of what type of success you desire and what type of traits that you could envy or that you can hate or that you can secretly resent that someone else embodies, that causes someone else to become visible. And these traits have shadows. Those shadow traits are what you would see as negative attributes that you see or recognize as essential to that person's success. The arrogance, ruthlessness, coldness, self-conceit, audacity. You understand? All of these different expanded attributes of Leo. At Aquarius Pluto, it's more so of powers of detachment that someone embodies that you can feel the same way about, where you recognize a limitation in your power to be unaffected, unbothered, free from any fear or anxiety or consequence of rejection, isolation, exile for being who you are. What you want to do is you want to pay attention to where there's resentment in your heart, there's anger in your heart, there's frustration in your heart, there's hatred in your heart, there's disdain in your heart for shadow expressions that someone else is embodying with pride, that someone else is embodying with a deep sense of value for that very attribute. For example, if you look at Clarissa Shields, for example, a lot of people like to bully on and pick on Clarissa Shields. Okay, a lot of females like to bully on her and pick on her. All right, they have a lot of things to say, to scrutinize, to judge, to criticize what she's doing concerning Papoose. You know what I mean? But really what's happening is it's a confession of their shadows, okay? These women that pick at her and have all these critiques and criticism to say about her, they're really confessing their shadows. And it's the fact that they feel ashamed or unauthorized to act on the same boldness, audacity, decentralizing themselves from approval of a clan, public opinion, the court of public opinion, the authority, consent, or permission of the people, the sisterhood, or whichever else. They really resent that they are not able to be so bold, to go against the sisterhood, to go against the code, to go against the scrutiny and public opinion of others, to go against what other people have standardized as being normal, permissible, the right way or good or whichever else. You also, for example, you have someone like Charleston White. okay, who he has very he has very dark shadows that he expresses boldly, that some people may have negative opinions or scrutiny about, but there's a secret envy of how he's able to be so unaffected by other people's opinions, or not controlled by the feedback of other people. You understand? And so that South Node Virgo aspect kicks in, and it wants to protect the nervous system. So it starts to criticize it in order to, you know, distance itself from it, so that there's a sense of denial. The Virgo impulse is what's used to distance yourself from it, so that you can, you know, express a sense of denial, or disconnect from that expression in your identity. And it's a way of pretending as if that's not what you want, as if that's not what you want to embody, as if that's not what you envy, you know, but it is. You know, the opposite end, Aquarius Pluto, it's more so of living vicariously through someone, in a sense, okay, because that's on the opposite end of that Leo. And the Pluto part is that there's a hidden truth there that's being confessed by what you condone, what you support as a fan, as an admirer, as a supporter, as one member of a crowd. And it's a confession of where somebody else is giving you permission to step outside of your morals, your values, or your ethos that you were taught or conditioned to standardize for yourself. You understand? For example, if you look at Lotto, okay, the rapper, Lotto, and some of the decisions that she made that led up to her, you know, getting pregnant by a person who allegedly is, you know, married, you know, and the mysteries that go around that of, you know, good, bad, right, or wrong. And many people use that as permission or a key that releases them from the cage of the conscience that tells them that even though I desire to do the same thing, I will use this person to justify not having to hold shame for what I really want to do also. You understand? So because this person does this, because this person lives like that, it gives me permission to not feel embarrassed or ashamed for wanting to do the same thing, you know? And when we are not able to admit that these are things that we feel, these are things that we think, it controls us, it rules us, and we end up doing it subconsciously, running subconscious programs, and we manifest the same outcomes, and then we live in shame and embarrassment about it because we never confessed it, addressed it, and became the manager and master of, you know, these shadows, and they began ruling us. And then the trickster effect kicks in where we think we're in charge, but really it's being demonstrated that we're not in charge. We're a slave to the shadows rather than us being the commander of the shadows. You understand? And so that's how you end up living out contradiction to your belief systems, or contradiction to what you confess, contradiction to what you present of yourself, contradiction to who you say you are, or what you personify. You end up, you know, living out, you know, a great deal of hypocrisy, you know, in that sense, because you're showing up one way, but you're suppressing other things of yourself that you refuse to face, embrace, address, you know, confess about, admit to, take ownership of, you understand? And all they do is take control. When we become a fugitive, when you run, it's the worst thing that you could do because they end up taking control. And a lot of this has to do, again, with the Virgo South Node attempt to present yourself as perfect. Like in this modern time, there's this internet ideal of perfectionism, where, according to the internet, everybody's rich, everybody's wealthy, is a celebrity, everybody's so high value, everybody's standards is so high, everybody is, of such a high prestige, with itself. Um, you know, I'm not going to settle for this and I'm not going to settle for that. All of this is fronting. It's acting. You know what I'm saying? It's fake personification. It's fictitious. It's insincere. It's hypocrisy. It's inauthenticity. It's not real. And when people show up this way, they're hiding something. And what they're hiding is what is authentic about their self. They're hiding the shadows about their self. They're hiding the full truth about their self. They're hiding what makes them whole and what makes them human. So when you have a person or people who try to present themselves as so perfect or try to exemplify these extreme high standards and expectations and demands on other people, like dating standards. Oh, you got to make $300,000 and you got to have this and you got to do that and you got to be able to do this and you got to do that. If you broke, just say that, so on and so forth. These are people with low self-esteem who are hiding shadows, and their real life looks the total opposite than what it is that they are projecting as being their actual value, worth, or appraisal. You understand? So if you follow them in private life, you will find it's the exact opposite. You understand? When somebody's able to present themselves imperfectly, show their emotions, express themselves in a way that's not so controlled and have it all together. You understand? They go up and down like a human. They have inconsistencies like a human. They're very much aware of things about themselves that's not good, that's not perfect, or that's not acceptable or attractive, or, you understand, valuable even, and it doesn't crush them. It doesn't make them feel like they have to run and hide. It doesn't make them feel less valuable. You understand? This is a person who's met their shadows, owned their shadows, incorporated their shadows, so they're able to show up authentic. You understand? And when somebody shows up authentic, it makes other people feel very uncomfortable because it becomes a mirror of their shadows. And when you show up authentic, the Aquarian energy in you, it starts to, reveal itself. It starts to come out in full fruition. Uranus starts to come fully out to the front. And you become a person who other people start to scrutinize, criticize, shame, talk trash about, envy, hate on, or whatever else. And you end up having, watchers. You end up having secret watchers. You end up having monitoring spirits. You end up having people who, keep tabs on you but won't support you. You understand? Because they got to study you. And they got to study you because you're causing so much activity within them, with the disturbance to those shadows, but they're not in touch with themselves to where they understand what's happening or what's occurring inside of them. They don't understand that. So they get frozen. And, the idea is, I don't know why I can't turn away from this person. I hate this person, but I don't know why I can't turn away. I hate this person, but I don't know why I can't stop watching. I hate this person, but I don't know why I can't stop listening. The reason is because the soul in the shadow realizes that person is free, and you're supposed to be free. Why are you not free? Why haven't you incorporated your shadows the way they have? It's basically like their shadows become envious of the person's shadows that they're listening to. And those shadows, it's like children who see somebody else that's not ashamed of their children, but here you are ashamed of your children, and the children are looking at you like that person over there is not ashamed of their son or daughter. So why are you ashamed of me? And that's what your shadows are saying to you as you look at that person who, you're sitting here being a monitoring spirit to, who you're being a secret vampire, secret watcher to. You watch them, but you won't support them. It's your shadows that's watching. It's your shadows that's saying that person has embraced their shadows and incorporated their shadows, but you're sitting here ashamed of us. You're ashamed of me. You won't bring me into your personification. You won't incorporate me into your personality. You're hiding us. Why are you hiding us? You see what I'm saying? And so you watch that person until you can learn to bring your shadows out. So a lot of times people don't know why they're attracted to a certain person. Some of you out there might think that you're here for my message. Most of you are not. You're here to learn how to incorporate your shadows. You're here to learn how to bring your shadows out to the forefront so that you can initiate your own mission, because you recognize that I show up with shadows. I got shadows all over me every time I talk, every time I present myself. You see, that's why I come up here so fucked up all the time. You know what I'm saying? I show my emotions. I show when I'm unstable. I show when I'm not having a good day. I show when I'm angry. I show when I'm sad. You know what I'm saying? When I'm not happy about something, I resent something. I don't like something or whatever else. I'm free and I'm able to show my shadows. And a lot of you struggle with that. And that's the reason why a lot of you are here. You're not here for astrology or the message. You don't give a shit about what I'm saying. Most of you, you're just here to catch the energy. You're here to learn how to present yourself authentically and real without hiding, because you recognize that about me. You see what I'm saying? And then you go about your business. You go and do something else, with that energy that you absorb or that you extract, or the pattern that you learn from, to see, okay, he's giving me permission to be myself because he's being himself. You know what I'm saying? He shows up to an empty audience every day. He allows himself to be, to be the imperfect person that he is every day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving y'all permission, and so we have to pay attention to where we feel uncomfortable about who we're looking at. I bring up Blueface all the time. Blueface is a prophet to every one of those girls in his life. Okay? And the reason I say that is because Blueface is a mirror to them, and he shows them their shadows. And the people who watch Blueface, just like I mentioned with Clarissa Shields, who have a lot of negative things to say about Blueface, or who have a lot of things to say about the girls, like, girl, you need to leave him, girl, you could do better than that, girl, you need to know your worth, girl, you need to know your value. The birds who never have anything original to say, they just chirp on a telephone wire, and they repeat each other and say the same things all the time, all that bullshit. They're looking at their shadows too. Blueface is causing the audience who's watching them to see their shadows, as well as the girls that surround them. And what that's about is they're seeing that those females, their low standards, their low self-esteem, how they respond to authenticity, honesty, and truthfulness embodied in a man, and the contradiction of what they say they want versus what happens when what they say they want actually manifests in front of them. You understand? All of these, they're seeing the contradiction between what they confess and what they actually respond to. They're seeing the contradiction in what they sell themselves as through their voice, or what they campaign themselves as from their choice words, and what their behavior actually is in response to certain type of males that manifest this pooky, personality trait. Okay, it's also being exposed to power of truth and honesty. Regardless of the claims of certain ways they want to be talked to, or whichever else, standards, and you better treat me this way, you better treat me that way. Blueface is causing all of the females in the comment section of social media who watch them, he's causing them all to look in the mirror and see all these girls that are around me, they are you. And you feel upset at what you're seeing, because you know that if you were in the same situation and you had access to me, you would do the same thing. You would behave the same way. You would obey me. You would run your mouth, but you'll still obey me. You'll run your mouth, but you're still not going nowhere. You will run your mouth and have all these things to say, but you're still going to let me treat you any kind of way that I want to. And it's nothing you're going to do about it. And you haven't figured out the mystery of why it's nothing you could do about it. And they're simply looking in the mirror, and it angers them, it pisses them off, it makes them upset, it makes them uncomfortable, it makes them feel vulnerable. And that's that opposition again of Aquarius Pluto to Leo Jupiter and square to Scorpio, which is where the shadow work has to be done. You see what I'm saying? So shadow work is all around right now, and these are things that we want to pay attention to and prioritize in our life. With characters like Clarissa Shields and the ladies around Blue, okay, around Blueface, you would think that the feedback that they get, like the hatred, the rejection, the animosity, the criticism, the shaming, and different things like that, what it is that there's an envy for where those females are at and what they have access to. There's an envy for what they have access to. And the shadow is that they're suppressing their ability to admit that they recognize there are certain traits, characteristics, attributes that they feel too ashamed to embody that would allow them the same type of access for the same type of outcome. They're pretending like they have a problem with, certain moral discrepancies. They're pretending like they have a problem with, how they're being treated and all this other stuff. No, if they could trade places, they would. Okay? It's just like, like you have a wife or a girlfriend, or whatever, and she got some homegirls, and the homegirls will get in your wife or girlfriend's ear to try to get her to leave you. And as soon as she leaves you, they'll try to get with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of projection going on behind suppression, shadows, and the shadows are attributes that you're ashamed to admit that you wish you had, because you know that you couldn't withstand the scrutiny that comes with it, the rejection that comes with it, the shaming that would come with it, the guilt that comes with it, the hatred and separation, alienation that comes with it. So really, when you look at Clarissa Shields, when you look at the girls who are with Blue, it's envy through shadow suppression. You understand that people who have something negative to say about such persons, they're ashamed to admit that they wish they could embody what they embody to get the same results. That's a shadow. You see what I'm saying? Now, me saying this, the people who actually have that crisis going on inside of themselves, they'll be the first one to get loud and say, "Oh no, that ain't true. Oh, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about." And if you notice, this is what always happens with shadows. Shadows always present laughing emojis. They always have laughing emojis. Anytime you see somebody respond and they can't have a natural dialogue without laughing emojis, shaming or insult, that is called a shadow. Shadows have to use laughing emojis, shaming, and insult. You see what I'm saying? Or in a regular dialogue with you, it uses shame and insult. You see what I'm saying? Because that's a way of deflecting and hiding. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is just something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Pack it up. There's a lot to go over on personal charts, all of these things in general. If you want a personal session with me to understand how all of this plays out for you in a personal sense, you got to schedule with me behind the scenes.